I'm Jason Schimpf, VP of Partner Programs and Education. I'll be your host today. First and foremost, on behalf of everyone at AMAG, we hope that you, your family and friends, and coworkers are all healthy and safe. We have a lot of great things going on in AMAG, and these webinars provide important corporate updates, drive awareness to AMAG's new products and features, share best practices, and dive into unique product features to help you differentiate your company from others when you team up with us. If you have any questions throughout the meeting, please go ahead and type them into the box, and the Q&A box should be on the bottom right of your screen, and we'll answer as many as we can during the webinar. And for those that we don't get a chance to answer, we will follow up with you after the meeting. The star of the show today is Jonathan Moore. He'll be covering our product announcements and Symmetry Business Intelligence. We've been receiving a lot of fan mail asking where Kim Rayfeld is. She's been missing for the last couple webinars, and she's not here today. She is healthy. She is safe. She's just on vacation still. She sends her regards from South Dakota, but she will be back next month. Over the last 5 years, AMAG has grown beyond access control to transform ourselves into a total solution provider, focusing on reducing costs, mitigating risk, and increasing compliance with external regulation. In our previous webinars, we briefly introduced what AMAG is doing in different areas of our business beyond access control to help our channel and end users solve problems and become an end-to-end solutions provider with a robust ecosystem of best-of-breed technology partners. All of those webinars and much more are available for free on our YouTube channel, also our e-learning location, also if you guys are familiar with going there, but we just moved everything to the YouTube channel too, which is at the bottom of your screen right there. Again, if you have any questions, type them into the box below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and turn it over to Jonathan.
Thanks very much, Jason, and good afternoon to everybody from the East Coast. As Jason said, we're going to go through just a few product announcements, and then I'm going to dive into some exciting updates that we have on Symmetry Business Intelligence, our new analytics offering that we released about, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks ago. Really, this is what we're going to do today is really touch on a number of new announcements, new products that have just been released. And I'm going to give you a little overview on 3 of those new products, and then we'll dive into some new features that have come out with Symmetry BI. So without further ado, let's jump in. So the first product announcement I wanted to talk about was Symmetry Mobile. Very exciting. Symmetry Mobile was recently released, I think about a week ago, and it is now available on the market in both a hosted and on-premise installation option. So for those who haven't heard about this or haven't seen the previous webinar that we actually did on this product, Symmetry Mobile includes a web-based administrative portal and a mobile app that is supported on the Apple and Android phones. And basically what this gives you is a central credential management platform, gives you full control over your credentials, your user base, what types of devices are used, read range, all those different things, authentication methods, you name it. And it's all handled centrally through the admin portal, rather than each individual phone user trying to manage their own settings and configure things according to company policy. It's all done centrally. What else is also done centrally is management of the users. So everybody can be added centrally. There's an integration with the Symmetry Access Control System, so I can pull all the cardholders from there as they're added. The users get an email when they're registered in the credential management portal, so you get an email automatically. You download the app, and the credential is loaded by scanning a QR code or barcode. It's loaded automatically. So there's no need to come into a badging office. There's no need to go and see a security officer or anybody like that. You just simply add the credential remotely as you go. Same time, you can take a selfie or upload a photo to through the mobile app, which then gets approved centrally, and that's obviously managed through the central management portal as well. So really no need for anybody to come into a badging office. Everything can be done remotely. So like I say, this is available today, both hosted and on-premise. So please, contact your local AMAG sales rep if you have any questions or would like to get a demo of that product. Let's jump to the next slide. Thank you. Apologies for the lawn service that's outside my window here, but I'll talk over it. what we have next to talk about is our update on the Allegion lock integration directly into our Symmetry access control system. We've had an integration with Allegion before, but it was always via an intermediate panel that had to be available, and that panel has subsequently been discontinued. So we're very happy to say that we now have a fully certified and released integration directly into the Allegion Engage Gateway rather than using that panel, and that's supported on the latest NDE and LE locks from Allegion. And you can even use the Engage mobile app, which is much easier to do the configuration, the setup, the discovery of the locks, and all of that can be done directly through that mobile application. So this is an integration that I think is a lot easier. It's a lot simpler. It uses less hardware. It's direct into that gateway, which is obviously a lot easier to use. And at the same time, this is supported on Symmetry 9.3.8 and higher. We've actually had other interim releases come out since then, but 9.3.8 and higher is supported. Both HSE and Standard Edition are also supported there. And the good news is that this can be supported alongside any legacy integrations that you have. So if you already have an integration the old way using those discontinued panels, you can actually add this new direct integration alongside and expand your site without any complications. So really easy, well thought out integration there that is available today. Next slide, thanks very much. The final product update that I wanted to jump into today is the release of our Symmetry Play adapter. So we've talked about our commitment to openness for a long time. AMAG is heavily committed now to driving the industry in a direction of openness. We have a policy of providing APIs with every product that we release these days. We're encouraging integration. We're trying to encourage it as much as possible. And with that in mind, we had joined the board of Play, which for those of you who don't know is the Physical Logical Access Interoperability Standard, which is quite a mouthful. But to simplify that, it's an open standard that is driven for integration between different access control system brands. We have a number of large customers out there that may have more than the AMAG branded access control system. They may have another access control system, and they need to be able to share user data or identity data between those two systems. Well, Play is a great way to do that, and we're very excited to say that we now have a released version of our Play adapter for Symmetry. So as the diagram there points out, essentially what any site that would require this sort of thing would have is you'd have a sort of central Play server, or what's known as a Play agent, that would link up all the different access control systems that you have at your organization. So you would add a person would be distributed to both access control systems in that diagram. So if Jonathan Moore was added up in your Active Directory system or whatever system you have for your user data that we're integrated with, that Jonathan Moore's data would be transferred to both access control systems. At the same time, let's say I had an access card added in the AMAG system, so I was enrolled in AMAG first. Well, that card data would be transferred to the other access control system automatically through the Play standard. So this is an open standard that any access control company could sign up for and join the Play Association and essentially allow integration with their system. And there are a number of systems that are enrolled in Play already, and we're very happy to be part of that ecosystem. So once again, if anybody has a need for this sort of thing or is interested in how that works, please reach out to your local sales rep, and we'd be happy to share more information about the capabilities there. Okay, so the last product update really that we're going to be talking about today is to do with Symmetry Business Intelligence. So this is another very new product that was only released in 2020. It's only been out for maybe 6 weeks, something like that. We've really had a lot of product updates coming thick and fast in 2020, a lot of exciting things to share. And this has been one that we've really got a lot of feedback on is our new analytics offering. And I'm very excited to say that we have a pretty good release cadence for this product, and we're coming out with new updates pretty regularly. And we've had what we call internally version 1.2 that was just released, and it has some new updates that we're very excited to share with everybody on the webinar for the first time today. So with that, let's jump in. And what I'd like to start with today is just an overview since this is a new product, I want to talk a little bit about what Symmetry Business Intelligence actually is, and then I'll touch on some of the new features. So version 1 that was released, like I say, pretty recently within the last few months, is an analytics offering that integrates directly with the Symmetry Access Control System, and like all of our other products, is capable of integrating with virtually anything else. We've designed it as such that if we needed to tie into other systems for whatever reason, we certainly could do that. But day one, it's integrated into our AMAG Access Control System, and it's analyzing the data that is contained within that system. So a lot of feedback that we've got from our customers, particularly over the last few years as technology is really exploding and we're moving forward at such a pace, is that all of our customers have a lot of data. We're generating tremendous amounts of data within the system, and customers realize there's a lot of value in there, and they're trying to extract that value as best as possible, but they're not sure how to do it. So this was our first foray into that area of the access control system, really analyzing that data and seeing what we could come up with and what might be of value to our customers. So our initial release of the product was to do with anomalous access control activity. Okay, so that's really, if you want to call it risk analytics or related to things like insider threat and understanding who is acting strangely within the access control system and maybe doing something outside of the norm. So the way the current version of business intelligence or version 1 functioned is it would look at each person within the system and analyze what their normal behavior might look like. So Jonathan Moore comes in 9 a.m. and leaves at 5 p.m. each day, and I go through the same doors generally to get to my office and go to the break room and do the normal things that I do on a daily basis. Well, the system will detect that, and it'll start to learn and understand my daily routine. Now, if all of a sudden I start coming in through different areas and I come in earlier or later, or I'm coming in on the weekends, or I'm acting strangely, doing things I don't normally do, depending on where I'm doing those things, the system is going to understand, which readers, which doors are high risk, i.e. maybe my data center doors and access to the HR areas and financial areas and things like that. Those might be high risk areas. So if I'm acting strangely in those areas, obviously my risk score, my overall potential risk score is going to go up a lot higher than if I went, just into the parking lot or something else like that maybe wasn't a high risk area. And what we're going to do, or what we do with this application in version 1, is we're flagging those people that have unusual access control activity going on. So this is typically allowed activity. So it's I'm granted access. It's not, the system's not preventing me from coming in. It's not an obvious alarm or anything like that, but it might be strange. Even though I'm allowed to come in at 10 o'clock at night, why am I coming in at 10 o'clock at night? Or why am I trying to go into a certain area? It's going to flag those people as potentially high risk. 99% of these people probably have a good explanation for why they had to come in. Maybe they had to come turn off the alarm system or something like that occurred, and there's usually a reason. But the idea behind this is let's flag the risky, unusual, anomalous activity that is occurring, and let's allow security to focus in on that, on the flagged high-risk individuals, and let's just make sure, let's verify that that strange activity was not something nefarious, right? Rather than forcing our security team to sift through the thousands and thousands and thousands or potentially millions of transaction logs and activity logs to try and find the needle in the haystack, let's filter it up to, here's the weird things that are going on at the moment with these people who are normally acting like this are now acting like that. You may want to take a look at it, right? So I think this is highly valuable, and we've got really good feedback from the customers that we've initially deployed this with and piloted it with, and we're learning from that. And speaking of learning from it, now we're moving forward with some new features that I'd like to talk to you about next. So let's jump to the next slide. So here's what we're going to talk about today. There's really two new areas or modules of features that we're releasing today or have released, and I'm going to talk to you about today. And the first one is what we call suspicious activity. So let me explain. What I have been talking to you about today is anomalous activity, right? So that is typically I am allowed in when I present my card to the door, and I come in and I'm just going to different places that I'm allowed to go. It's not obvious that I'm potentially doing something wrong. These are allowed events that are happening that the system's analyzing after the fact and then saying, Jonathan was allowed in, but it was strange, and here's why, and then it's showing you that information and giving me a risk score. Suspicious activity is a little bit different. Suspicious activity is usually, not always, but usually denied activity. It's somebody doing something in a door where they're not allowed in. It's a little bit more obvious, and it's a little bit more immediate in terms of security's response and taking a look at it. Rather than a long-term trend, suspicious activity is a little bit more immediate in terms of this is very strange, it looks like a problem, you should check it out now. And then second to that is occupancy, which is, I think, completely different to what we've been talking about so far. This is a very exciting new module that comes with Symmetry Business Intelligence, and it's showing you usage of your facilities, statistics of your most busy or least busy areas, who's in certain areas each day, that kind of thing. And we're going to go into more detail on both of these right now. So let's jump to the next slide. So let's start with suspicious activity. So I've given you a little bit of an overview. Here's a dashboard. I know this is quite small. Apologies, I couldn't really get the image much bigger than that for today's webinar. But suffice to say, we have an entirely new dashboard within Business Intelligence focused on suspicious activity. And I'm highlighting some of the things that this dashboard would show you on the left-hand side. Things like consecutive card warnings, incorrect PIN code entry, that sort of thing that we're looking at. And like everything else, this may be enhanced and may expand in terms of what we're looking at in future. But let's touch on some of the suspicious activity warnings and alarms that we can generate today. Really battling to say that. So starting with things like consecutive card warnings, right? There's many terms for this sort of thing. You could call it badge phishing, consecutive card presentations, things like that. But essentially what it is sometimes you will see it if you look carefully where the same card may be presented at 10 different readers in a hallway, one after the other, and it's usually denied in. Okay, so you would see that kind of thing, door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. It's as though somebody's walking down the hallway, just presenting their card at different doors. And if you look carefully, you probably understand what I'm getting at is that person may have found that card and they don't know where it can be used, and they're just trying to see which door it works at. Or it's somebody in an area that they shouldn't be in to start with, and they're wondering, can I get into these doors? Am I allowed into these particular areas? So once again, this is not something you really want to leave for a long time. If that truly happens, you want to be notified and you want to take action, right? It may be an employee, like we say, that's just chancing things and trying to understand where their card works and, hey, can I get into the store, or did they not give me access yet? And you know what? It always does very, very well to show, to reach out to somebody like that and say, we noticed that you presented your card in an area that you're not supposed to, and we'd encourage you not to do that in future. And, these are the areas you can actually go. It really shows that security is on top of things when you do that sort of thing. And then the other example is somebody actually found that card. We have somebody in the building that shouldn't be there. That's obviously something security needs to deal with immediately. So that's consecutive card warnings. Very similar to that would be incorrect PIN code entry. Now, what's difficult with this is that everybody types their PIN code wrong, incorrectly every now and then, right? You either forget which PIN code is, or you just fat finger it and touch the wrong key on the keypad, for example. Well, what we are looking for here is typically the same card presented multiple times with an incorrect PIN code. That shows that somebody is either locked out and they've forgotten their PIN code and they need assistance, or once again, somebody has picked up their card and is now trying to figure out what their PIN code is to get in. Another one where security really needs to take action pretty quickly with that sort of thing. And then we have a couple of others that are also very, very important. Card used the same time at the same reader multiple times is another one where you want to know why is that happening? Is somebody letting other people in through a turnstile? So it's almost like an anti-passback. If you don't have anti-passback set up, and not every organization has the ability to set up anti-passback for a variety of reasons, you can still now see, okay, somebody's letting other people in with their card because I'm seeing that same presentation, or maybe there's something wrong with the lock and they can't get in. But once again, you want to take immediate action with that sort of thing where the person is reading their card at that same reader. Why are you doing that? What is going on, right? Once again, suspicious activity. And then the final one, and I think might be the most important one, we've had a lot of feedback on this, is duplicate cards. So, well, potentially duplicate cards. The system actually learns what the shortest time between your readers is possible to achieve through analyzing the data, believe it or not. We've tested this and we've come up with a really good solution here in terms of if you have two systems, two buildings that are part of your system, one's in New York City and one's in San Francisco, right, i.e. very far apart, and my card is used in New York and San Francisco within 10 minutes of each other, that's not possible, right? Now, if you're sitting just watching the screen, watching for alarms and events in real time, you're not really going to notice that. No security officer is that on the ball that they notice that 10 minutes ago that card was used over here and it shouldn't be possible. Well, this system is looking for exactly that, and it will provide you an alarm or a warning if the same card is used in areas where it's just not possible. And it'll show you what's potentially a cloned card, which once again, you want to track that down, you want to work out what's going on. Very much like your credit card, right? Everybody's had that phone call of, did you make this transaction on the other side of the country 10 minutes ago? And no, well, we're going to shut your credit card down, looks like potential fraud, and we're going to take action immediately. Same idea, right? Well, it looks like your card's being cloned here, we need to shut it down and figure out what's going on. So I think suspicious activity is very practical, very useful. We have a number of ideas of where this is going to go in future, which I don't have time to cover today, but watch this space, and any questions or feedback, we'd love to hear it in future. So let's jump to the last point that I want to touch on today, but also very important is building occupancy. So we've been looking at, like we say, all this access control data. And really hidden within that data is facility usage, right? If I know that you presented your card at this building on this date, I know that at least you were there, and I can start to track exactly who is in what building on what day, right? So we're starting to dip our toes into this particular area and understand facility usage, which I think in today's day and age is very, very important, and I'm going to get into that. But we're already looking at things like trends over time, okay? So you start to look at, maybe things decrease during the summer months when people might be out on vacation and things like that, and maybe during winter you have more people in the office or whatever it may be. You start to understand what my busy days are, what my less busy days are, and it allows you to be more efficient and drive efficiencies within your organization. If you know exactly how busy your buildings are, you can use them more effectively, right? You can drive your remote workers and things like that on different schedules and make use of your real estate in the most efficient manner possible, because obviously that is a huge cost to most organizations is real estate. And being able to understand, do we need to expand, or do we have ways where we can contract or make better use of what we already have to save costs over time? I don't think I need to go any further than that. The value really speaks for itself, right? So we're looking at it from that side. We're also looking at specifically what are the most busy readers, what are the most busy areas that I have as well, and at what time. How busy are certain areas at 9 a.m. versus 12 p.m., that kind of thing along the way. And trying to understand that so that we can better understand traffic patterns and understand, if there's lines or buildups at certain doors and things like that. But also think about it from a standpoint of the global sort of pandemic that we're in today, where, hopefully at some point in the near future here in different states and different countries are doing this in a different way. But people are looking to try and go back to work and try and get their employees back into offices. But at the same time, you need to do that in a safe and responsible manner. And most companies are looking at that from maybe we can go to 25% capacity in our buildings to start with. And maybe these are the most important departments that need to be back, right? Like your sales team can work remote, but your manufacturing people need to be back as soon as possible. They can't really do their jobs remotely. So we're now allowing you to make database decisions on those kinds of things. You can see what capacity you were at today and where you'll be tomorrow. You can see that by department as well within this particular dashboard. So it allows you to see which people are coming in, what capacities you're at, what your traffic patterns are, and make realistic, practical decisions about bringing people back to work and that sort of thing along the way. So we think this is a timely new module to add, but at the same time has a variety of different use cases that we'd like to talk about. So with that is the new product updates for today. I think everyone would agree they're pretty action-packed. We've got a lot of new things happening at AMAG. And once again, we'd love to hear questions and feedback from everybody once you've had a chance to look at them. With that, back to you, Jason.
Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan. That was fantastic. And we do have some questions that came in. We've got just a few minutes, so I'll grab a couple of them real quick. When will Symmetry Mobile Admin Portal installation documentation be available to integrators on the partner site?
So the installation documentation is just being wrapped up at the moment. Basically, it will be available. We just need an internal. If you were to deploy something tomorrow, we would just have one of our internal engineers assist with that and sort of provide the documentation. It's going through our testing at the moment. So I don't have an exact date, but I would expect, maybe next week, something like that. It's not very far out.
Excellent. Next question. Will Play integration allow Power BI to analyze across different access control systems, or is it just AMAG?
So that's an interesting question. So what Play does is it allows you to share person and access data between systems. So Jonathan Moore's my name and email or whatever else you're tracking on me and my access card gets shared between those systems. Play doesn't go much further than that in terms of sharing data, but the Symmetry BI system itself has been developed in such a way that we had that in mind, right? Integration with other systems already. So, typically you wouldn't use a standard like Play to integrate to grab the event logs. Those are normally just stored in their own database. So, the answer is no, but talk to us about integration with those other systems and we'll look at, there should be a mechanism available to do it today anyway.
Excellent. And then for one last question, let's flip back over to Symmetry Mobile. Is there an integration with Symmetry Mobile in Guest or Connect?
So great question. So right now, Symmetry Mobile, as we've just released it, is integrated directly into Symmetry Access Control. So as long as Guest or Connect, which they already do today, they can put the person into Symmetry Access Control, that person would get a mobile credential through the access control system. So there is a mechanism, although it's jumping through a few hops right now, there is a mechanism for that to work today. We are in the process of working through integrations with Guest and Connect with mobile that will come in the future. But with the initial release, it's only tied into access control today, but that should be sufficient. And the last thing I'll say is Symmetry Mobile also comes with an API. So if there was some third-party system you wanted to integrate it with, it also has manual file upload ability where you can just upload a list of people into it. So we give you today a number of options for integration and making this easy to get users into mobile right now, and watch this space for further integrations and development as they come.
Fantastic. There were a couple last-minute questions that came in, so we're going to go ahead and run over just a few minutes because I think these are important. Are there any competing systems that Play will not work with? I'm assuming they're referring to some of the competitors to our access control platform.
So, I mean, it's hard for me to say which it would not work with, but there's no technical reason why Play could not work with any other system that's out there. The only reason it would be is if that company decided they did not want to be part of Play or did not want, to encourage integration in that way. I have not heard of any manufacturer that's done that so far. Some may be easier than others to work with, but I've never heard of one saying just straight up, no, you know, we're not playing, so to speak. No.
Excellent. And Play has a whole dedicated website to which platforms are conformant to the standard too, which we can add to the follow-up email when we send it out to you. And then, okay, this will be the last question for the day, is will building occupancy be a solution for managing overcrowding from a COVID-19 safety perspective in and out of a room for accurate count, as an example?
So, no, it's not intended to, you know, manage how many people are in a specific room right now. This is more for longer term understanding of how many people are in your building or on a particular floor, that kind of thing each day. More generalized than that. There are other solutions that I think are a better fit for the immediate, you know, there are 10 people in that room and there should only be 8 people. That's more of a video analytic or some sort of physical breaks in the room, that kind of thing, or maybe even stopping from an access control perspective, letting other people in and out, that kind of thing. The occupancy is more general trends and things like that to make strategic decisions, not immediate reactions. So no, it's not intended for that right now.
Excellent. Appreciate that, Jonathan. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up with that. A couple other questions that did come in that I'll address is we will be sending out a follow-up thank you note within probably 24 hours once this recording is done processing, and we'll put some care packages in there about Symmetry Mobile, Power BI, and what we're doing with those so you can have additional resources. As for pricing on any of the products, reach out to your application engineering team from AMAG, and they can help you out with those prices if they're not already in the published price book. Thank you to Jonathan for presenting today. I appreciate that. And if you guys have any questions after this ends, please reach out to your local salesperson or your application engineer. As always, this full webinar and previous versions will be on our YouTube channel. Give us about 24 hours to get that uploaded. You can see that link in the bottom right of your screen there. And as soon as this webinar is over, in your browser, a short 3 or 4 question survey is going to pop up. If you could just take a moment to fill that out. We're always looking to deliver the best content to you, and your feedback is greatly appreciated. Again, stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month on August 18th. Take care.